Hi guys, this is coming to you from my basement art nook. Believe it or not, it doesn't always seem appealing to spend 15 hours in one day in the art room, so I decided to make this video at home. So today, with the first video, I'm going to show you just some basics for creating a perspective landscape, and then you can do one of two things. You can kind of stop and play the video and work along with me, or you can watch the whole video and then work on creating your own landscape with the details that you want to add. So the previous video gave you a couple ideas of what sort of landscape you might want to create. When you're working on your final drawing, you are going to have to include a road because it is a rear view mirror. So you're thinking that you're in a car and you're seeing the road behind you and all of the details that are around it. But then you're also going to need to include at least two other things that are using 1 point perspective. So if I'm doing sort of like country road scene where there isn't a ton of stuff going on, then I might just have one house that's on one side of the road that goes back to the vanishing point, and then I might also have a fence on the other side. It's really easy to include a lot of details if I have a couple trees, telephone poles, mailboxes. There's a lot of things that I can include, but we'll start with a little bit easier, doing just a few things. But remember, it's the same sort of idea that you were working on with those cubes. It's just applying it in a different way. And then the second video, if you get to that, is working on a city. A city, because it has so many buildings and so much stuff packed in, is going to be a lot more, a little bit more challenging. And it's going to rely a lot more heavily on your ruler because everything that needs to be square with the sides of the buildings. So there's not a ton of freehand drawing, although you can also freehand. So the first video that we'll do is a little bit simpler. And like I said, you can either follow along with me, stop and start whenever you need to, or you can just watch it, get some ideas, and then work on yours. By the end of class, if you only get done with one and everything makes sense, that's fine. But if you have time and things are looking correct, then you'll move on to the second video and try to work on a city. The more that you practice with this, the better that you'll get. But like I said, I would rather you have one drawing that makes sense and is using perspective correctly, rather than having two really sloppy drawings that don't make sense, the perspective isn't there, and you're not quite catching the idea. So we'll start right now with the sort of country road drawing. All right, I have all my supplies and I'm ready to draw. I have my paper, my pencil, my eraser, and my new BFF, my ruler. So to start, this is just like starting our other perspective drawings. I'm going to start with the horizon line. The horizon line is just about at eye level. So it's not way down here. It's not exactly in the middle. It's not way up here. It's just a little bit above the middle of the paper. Imagine if I was like standing outside, looking out into the distance, my eye level is just exactly where the horizon line is. So I lined up my ruler with the edge of my paper. I made sure I'm going horizontal, and then my fingers are pressing on the ruler away from the edge, and then my pencil can just lightly sit on that horizon line and pull across. Now I'm going to set my vanishing point. Last time we were doing it where the vanishing point was kind of right in the center. If you want to off-center it a little bit, like have it a little bit off to the right, have it a little bit off to the left, you can. I wouldn't go like all the way over here because then I won't have any room for details on this side of my road. And I want to have some things going on both sides. So I'm going to off-center it just a little bit to the left. And remember, it's just a point, not a blob, not a circle. Now we already made the road in the perspective details video. So if you remember, I reset my pencil on the horizon line, and then the left side of my road is going to go off towards the left side of my paper. And then the right side of my road is going to go off towards the right. And I can decide sort of how wide I want my road to be. So I'll reset on the vanishing point and then pull down towards the edge of the paper. Now, if I'm doing sort of a country road and I don't want the edges to be perfectly straight, I can use this as a guideline. So I still want to use my ruler to make sure that I'm meeting back at the vanishing point and they're coming out at the right angle. But I can erase this straight line with the ruler, and then I can go over it with my hand, and just naturally I'm going to get a little bit more of an organic feel, so it looks more like a rough sort of country dirt road. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side just so they match. So that still gives me a guideline. I can still see where it was. And then my hand just gives it a little bit more of a natural effect. Now I'm going to start thinking about some details. This is like country road, but it's not like totally country. Might have lines in the middle of it. So I'm going to go with 1, reset my pencil, slide my ruler over just a little bit. The lines aren't that thick. 2, and then I'm going to reset my pencil again, leave a little bit more of a space. 3, it's like I'm making hands from a clock, whiskers coming from that same point. And now I have the double line in the middle of the road. This side's a little bit wider. If I wanted to, I could erase, or this side's a little bit wider. I could erase this line and make a new one that goes out a little bit further with my ruler, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Now, I'm going to make a fence going along this side of the road. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set my first fence post. Remember that my fence post is vertical. If I start drawing fence posts, then I'm always like, some people, like I said, get really attached to this idea of making more diagonal lines, following along those orthogonals. The orthogonals are the lines that connect back to your vanishing point. But with the fence post, with the sides of the house, I want to always keep those vertical. If they start going diagonal, then it starts to look really weird, like I have a fence that's starting to collapse and it's going to fall into the road. So again, I'm going to use my ruler just to sort of give me a guideline of how vertical this should be. And then since it is like, oh, I'm making like a wooden fence post, I'm going to use my free hand to draw, but that ruler gave me a good guideline. So now, to figure out how tall the rest of them will be, I'm going to use this and connect it back to my vanishing point so that I have a guideline for the rest of them. So I reset my pencil, swing my ruler up. It's just like having a really skinny cube. Swing my ruler up, set it, so as soon as it touches that last little corner right here, then I'll pull that just lightly back to the vanishing point, and I know that this is how tall the rest of my fence posts should be. And since I'm making like kind of thick fence posts, I'm going to connect both corners here. And then I'm also going to connect one from this back, bottom corner here. It's going to be pretty close to the road, but that's where the bottoms of my fence posts are going to go. And then if I want, I can kind of just sort of use the ruler to lightly guide me. When they're close to me, things are going to be a lot bigger. So these ones are going to be really far apart. And I kind of just use my ruler space, so that's how much is in between it. And then for the next one, I want to leave a little bit less than my ruler space. And then the one after that, I'm going to leave a lot less than my ruler space, and then a lot less than that. So they get a little bit closer together as they go further back. And then I will just use my, again, just kind of freehand. That's where that one's going to go. This one. And then as they go back, you also get less detail. Now, this is going to be the top of my fence post here. This is the side of it, meeting up with that bottom orthogonal. And then same thing over here. I've got, this is the front of it, so this is like the front of my rectangle. And then this is going to be the side that's going away from me. And then here's the top of it. And it's kind of hard to see all these little details here in the back. Ooh, I made that too wide. Still a little too wide. Then back here, I might not even be able to see the width of it because all that detail kind of disappears. Now, I can get rid of these guidelines at the top. So now I have some nice posts. Get rid of that guideline inside there. Rid of this, almost erase half my friend's post. It's just practice. This. And now I can make those lines that connect the fence posts. If I want to, I could use wooden posts and I would use my ruler to kind of line that up. Or I could connect it, maybe they're connected like with wire and it's kind of like that swooping wire. So I can't see where it connects on the other side of this. I just see where it comes out and then it kind of connects back here. That might swoop a little too low. I'm going to use my vanishing point. That tells me that's how low it should go. That's how low it should go. That's how low it should go. A little bit more accurate. There, that makes more sense. Here, so tiny. And then, I don't know, do I want to make another one at the bottom? Yeah, maybe. That's where it goes in there. And then same thing. I'll line this up so it makes sense. Here. Gets pretty close to the road. Here. And then I would also have one that kind of goes, figure out where it goes off the page down to here. So it connects to a fence post that's like, I can't even see it. There we go. Now I have a fence that goes down the side. If I was doing telephone poles, it's the same idea, just my telephone poles would be a lot taller. So now I'm going to make a house over here, and the house starts off the same way that we started off the cube. So when I'm looking at the side of the house, it's like you're standing right in front of the house looking at it face on. So everything's square. So it's just like you would normally draw a house. So I'm going to set it just a little bit back from the road, not too far. It's pretty close to me. I'm like just driving past it. And I think for the roof, I'm going to go with a triangular roof. Pretty big, like maybe an old farmhouse or something like that. So it goes right off the edge of the page. Now, inside here, this is just like when I was drawing that box that was above and below the horizon line in the first perspective video. So I get rid of the horizon line. And then all these corners are going to meet back with the vanishing point. So this is the side of the house that's facing me. The rest of it is going down the road, going further away from me. So I'm going to reset my pencil, take my ruler, swing it up until it meets that first corner. Connect. How far back does the house go? Is it gigantic? Is it kind of small? Corner. I'm going to put my pencil here instead. Same idea. Now my ruler swings from this corner. I match it with my vanishing point. So every time it's connected with a corner, connected with my vanishing point. And then same thing with the top of my roof. Set my pencil here. Swing my ruler so that it touches the vanishing point. There's the top of my roof. Now, my house is going to be this wide. Get rid of the horizon line. It's a big house. And then the roof line, same thing when we were drawing like triangles or if you tried any other shapes. This is the line that ends this space here. So I want to make a line that's parallel to this. So I'll line my ruler up here and just pull this back. Keep thinking like this is a set of train tracks. I want to keep this lined up with this one. Pull that back until I get to the corner of the house. And I just need to make this line at the top. Just a tiny bit longer. There we go. Now I have my house. Now, depending on where the front door is, the front door was here. I would just draw it the way that I would normally draw a door. So maybe there is a door over here. So I'll set my ruler up so I am making vertical sides to my door. They didn't have some terrible carpenter building it crooked. There we go. And then I can add the window. I'm going to freehand it. His terrible carpenter friend made the window. And then here's a doorknob so everybody can get in. Then, if I'm going to put a door on this side, it's the same idea that I just did with this side of the house. Now it's just smaller inside that space. So I'll line up my ruler, vertical for the sides, and if I want to make sense so the doors are the same size, use this door for a guideline. This is how tall the door should be on that side of the house. It's a really tall door. Is that how tall it should be? I don't know. That looks really weird. I don't know. Let's see. Vertical sides. Yeah, I guess. Huh. Some things even stump Miss P. Yeah, I don't know. It looks really tall, though. I'm wondering if maybe it should come from... Ah, yeah, that's what it is. So it matches up with the height here. This is how tall it should be. Ha 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 ha. See? Even I make mistakes, learn things. And then it's the same thing with the window on this side. The sides of the window, built by the same horrible window maker, are vertical. And then the top and bottom, the good carpenter that built the doors, made sure that they connected with the vanishing point, and then I erase those. Now, I'm going to add a few more details, but I'm going to make it in a time lapse, so it's going to go a lot faster, and then you'll be able to see what this all looks like when it's finished. Remember, whatever details you're adding to yours, it doesn't matter. Telephone poles, trees, houses, whatever. It's the same concepts that we've worked with before. Everything connects back to my vanishing point. Everything connects with my ruler first, even if I am going to kind of freehand it afterwards. And we'll talk a little bit more about after I finish my time lapse. Okay, so here I am at a more finished drawing. I still have my road, I have my house, which I added all the windows to. So just like I mentioned before, my windows that are on the side that's facing me stay perfectly square. And then the windows and doors on the other side, the tops and bottoms all meet back at the vanishing point. It's just like the bigger side of the house, tops and bottoms meet at the vanishing point. Same thing happens with all those smaller shapes inside it. In the background, with my little Post-it note, so I decided to add some mountains in the distance, and then I was trying to add a little pine tree forest down here at the bottom. Didn't quite work out, but when things are really far away from me, I'm not going to be able to see the detail, the outline of every single little tree. I'm just going to see kind of like a big clump of trees. It's something that I might add when I go in to add color. And then the same thing with my clouds. The cloud that's kind of like hanging over the top of this house. I might actually even make it a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger, and then as they go back in the distance, they get a little bit smaller. Still details that I could add, but this is just kind of a good start using just a few simple shapes. So the fence posts, the one house, and then the two trees that connect back to the vanishing point.